Welcome, everyone. Today we're talking about movement for all bodies. I'm Dr. Wendy Lee White. This is Tune Into Your Body, episode 19, I believe. We've been doing this weekly since March. And today we're going to talk about move, one of the 5 essentials for you to be healthier every day. And today I'm super excited to not be doing this by myself, but to have my friend and referral source, Gina Daly, here as a personal trainer. So Gina, just to start out, tell me how you got to be in personal training in general, like before we even get into the all bodies part.
Yeah, so I was a dancer. I have danced for 33 years of my life, and I was a performer and a teacher. So I've always loved movement and anatomy and geeked out on the mechanics of things. And pushing 34 last year, I was getting very tired. Turns out 30 years of dancing is tiring. And I needed to change careers. I was done being a dance teacher. I needed something that was less output. And I still love to teach, and I still love to teach movement. So teaching movement in a different way as a personal trainer was a natural next step. And it went in line with some personal missions I have of helping people feel happy and love themselves and their bodies. So the two coupled nicely together.
Awesome. What was that transition as far as professional development that led from dancing to personal training?
Yeah, I went to a trade school here in Portland called PTI, and it's just just personal training school. You get a nutrition certificate, and you go through all physiology, anatomy, biology, all of the things, and it's great. It's kind of teaches you a holistic perspective rather than just getting a personal trainer certificate from a book or an online course. This program focused on holistic, meaning like there's so much more to movement than just like lifting weights. And I loved that aspect of it.
Yeah. I feel like working out with you is like going to an adult playground. Like I've never felt bored, I've never felt repetitive. It's always been new ways I can explore how my body can move and get stronger. And for those of you who are following me on Instagram, you've probably seen me post pictures of my kneeling on a yoga ball and trying to be balanced. And since then I've kind of moved up to now I hang out on the yoga ball with weights and like I'm pretty steady there. And who would have thought, when I'm sure, Gina, you remember like the first time I tried to kneel on the ball, it's just like hysterically funny.
Yeah.
You just wee right off. I'm like, how is this possible? And then shortly thereafter, it's like, wow, look, I can, use my core and everything just, I say use, but it's this passive thing, right? The more you relax, the more your body just kind of remembers how to do it. It's
Yes.
just quite
Our
fun.
bodies want to move. Our bodies are programmed to move. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that when many people think about gyms, no matter, sorry, I'm froggy today, no matter their experience in the past or their body shape, their body size, their gender, for many people, gyms are intimidating places. So talk about the space that you create, and first acknowledge the fact that you do online stuff because we are in this crazy time. So kind of preface it with that, but then talk about the space you create, either digitally or in person.
Yeah. So my physical space called Root and Branch Integrative Fitness on Belmont is it kind of looks like a yoga studio. I designed it that way purposely because I feel like the majority of us feel uncomfortable in a industrial, loud gym. Like all of my previous gym experience has been in they're playing heavy metal or like rap with a bunch of stuff in it, and it's just like got like guys like looking all around and like clanging and stuff. And the clients that I want to help move more are like my mom or like the sweet Holloways that are in their late 70s. And all of the people that really could benefit from moving need a space where they feel safe.
Yeah.
And even me as a professional, like I know what I'm doing in a gym. I don't go to 24-hour fitness. I hate the way I feel. I walk in, all eyes go like this, whoop,
Yeah.
and you're on display as you walk through trying to find your little corner to hide in.
Yeah.
And it's not a comfortable space. And so this space, I just wanted people to finally get that exhale of like, it's safe to be in my body for this hour. And so it's it's hopefully provides that for people.
And we know that the state of our nervous system impacts our immune function, our digestive health, our mood, the ability of our muscles to respond. So creating that safe space isn't just fluff, right? It's not just a marketing tool. It's not just, oh yeah, it's soft and cushy. No, it's physiological, connecting your body to the empowerment that it has in moving through all these different ranges of motions and different exercises.
100%. The nervous system is in the driver's seat, and I can pull out all of my tools in any book. And if the nervous system is stuck in your fight or flight, or if you have trauma stuck somewhere in a certain part of your body, nothing I do, nothing Alex, my PT business partner, can do will change the mechanics of the way you move. We have to go to the nervous system first.
Yeah, agreed. So let's switch gears a little bit and enter the idea of today's title, the movement for all bodies. So what did we mean by that when we chose that title?
To me, gosh, I could get on a pedestal with this one, but
Please do.
it is so important that we work to dismantle this narrative and this story that has been put upon us without consent, that only a certain type of body can move a certain way or look a certain way or be in a certain place. And that messaging is everywhere, and it's from birth. It's in magazines, it's in media, it's in everywhere. We only see, and everyone listening could immediately conjure that image of what a fit person looks like. We already know what that body type looks like. It's one body type.
Yeah.
And blasting through all of that, going back to like the original, like our bodies, like think of humans in nature. We're squatting, we're crawling, we're climbing, we're picking, we're reaching, we're carrying. All of those natural movements that our bodies are designed for have nothing to do with what we look like. Nothing. And it's this giant lie, that this veil that has been put on us, and we just have to just chip away at that if we can, and like go back to what is real and what is important. And that is like how it feels to move your body. Like everyone loves the feeling of having had worked out. Nobody likes to, I mean, sometimes you like going through the process if you're in the food. But you always like the feeling of like the day after, when you're like, you're noticing parts of your body and you're like, oh, I feel a little bit stronger here, or oh, I have a little more mobility here. That feeling, like using that as your motivation, and that is accessible to everyone. It has nothing to do with what you look like. And I think just in the fitness industry, especially, we're just inundated. We're completely covered in these lies all the time. And I
think two things in response to that is, first of all, it's not just the fitness industry, it's the nutrition industry and the naturopathic medical industry and medicine in general. And, so it's pervasive everywhere. And also, you commented of it starts from birth, and really it starts before birth, right? It's ancestral. It's this desire to have this ideal of the thin, privileged white woman, right? Who doesn't have to use her body, doesn't have to build muscle because she doesn't have to work.
Right.
And when we compare, the ideals that come across by skin color and what the ideal body style type is for any given race or any given skin color, which is different from race, it's all complicated and it's all programmed in our cells. And so it's really important, and why I have you on, A, and why I refer to you, B, and why I work out with you, C, is we want our bodies to feel safe and secure as we're doing this curious exploration of learning how to love moving our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us didn't learn how to love moving our bodies. You know, you think about PE class. My PE class was about dodgeball, like terrifying, getting really hurt by getting whipped with this big ball because I was not a traditional athletic person. I would always get, anyway, that was my experience of PE, right? Of physical education growing up. And then I became a gymnast. That wasn't respectful to my body either. I was nauseated. I had lots of GI stuff as a high schooler. I was nauseated a good percentage of the time. And my coach's comment was, well, go throw up and come back to practice. Like, that was not, and that wasn't, I'm not picking on my coach. Well, I am kind of, but like, it wasn't just him. Like, that was in general, that was the status that many of us grew up with,
Mm-hmm.
of either push through it, rip and shred. If you can walk the next day, you didn't push hard enough. All of these different like cliches, right? And of course, we as adults would be then hesitant to kind of rejoin that community, which is why it's so important that we talk about this with anybody who will listen. And so let's talk about larger bodies in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many people who live in a larger body in our society have been shamed, ridiculed, over-examined, made assumptions about by other people who know nothing about them. Many people in our society, when they see someone in a larger body, they assume weak, lazy, poor dietary choices, lack of willpower. We can throw all of those out there. Now, for anyone following me on social media or any of these webinars, I've talked a lot about health at every size, which is really a philosophy that, in addition to saying that there's no one rigid way that anybody should approach food, health at every size also has a philosophy that movement should be for the enjoyment of feeling your body and what it can do, and feeling excited, and just making choices in life that promote health, and that weight loss just gets taken off the table. That's not the goal. The goal is to just be healthier, to move, to enjoy food in a variety of ways, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you see your work with people in larger bodies?
Yeah, I think the shame component is huge. I think everyone has their own personal story of the rope in gym class, right? Hanging on, having their whole kid, like their whole class, their group of classmates watching them as it's their turn on the rope, like sitting there and not being able to do it, and just feeling terrified and ashamed, and then you get off. And immediately that's your story about yourself, right? I can't. I'm not capable. Something's wrong with me. And so starting from that place of how do we build confidence in our body so that it's joyful again? And it just starts with what can you do, and there's so many cool tools in the gym now, all kinds of fun, like bands and like setups and all, like literally we can modify to do anything with any body, any able type, like on the spectrum of ability, anything we can modify. So you can do, you can start from a place and really feel, like, let that sink into your nervous system of, I can do this. Like, you have to feel that feeling and like let it ingest, like feel it all through your body of, I can do this. And it's just those little increments of like, and then you like, yes, do you recognize that? Okay, let's take it to the next one, you know? And then you start to build that confidence around that. So you start feeling a little safer to take those little steps.
Yeah. Someone in chat just said, starting with what can you do? Love that idea. And it's true, because so often we already come in with the memories and hurts of our failures, as opposed to the excitement and curiosity of exploration.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing firsthand, because I have trained with you for, I don't know how long it's been now, a couple years,
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but time flies. But the idea that if something like, you know, we do a different program each month and the new program's here and I'm like, oh, Gina, I don't know what this is. And you're like, here's what it is. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Rather than just like keeping my mouth closed and struggling and risking injury, you create the safe space of, oh, you know what, Gina, that feels a little tweaky here. How can we modify it so that it's maybe a little bit one step closer to where I am, and then I know where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
And I think experiencing that safe space is an important factor in the process with you. I think that's important.
Yeah, and there's one ingredient in there that is really, really important, and that's the ability to advocate for yourself and speak up. And that is something that is really hard for a lot of people. So it's also a place to practice that, because um, a lot of times we disassociate from our bodies. We're very used to doing that in so many ways. And so actually going into your body long enough, noticing like an uncomfortable sensation, and then advocating and like speaking up, that's a whole process in itself, you know, and that takes
Agreed.
time and that takes confidence to do.
Agreed. Especially for people who have been dismissed and have been shut down and have been told, oh no, it's not a hip issue, it's just your weight, or oh no, it's not a knee issue, it's just your weight.
Right.
And so you're right that it's not just about, just like I say, it's not just about the food, it's about relationships and your movement and your sleep patterns and your hormones and your nervous system. It's not just about movement. It's
No.
about the ability to feel. Like in one of these webinars, I recommended that everyone do a quick body scan. And for those that didn't know, I'm like, okay, just think about your left knee. How's your left knee feeling today? And for a lot of people, that's such a foreign concept to be able to connect with their bodies, especially if they've had trauma and
Yep.
they've disconnected for safe reasons from their bodies.
Yep.
So I'm going to pause us here for a moment and welcome any people who have joined us since the beginning. This is Tune Into Your Body, my weekly webinar series that explores the 5 essentials for you to be healthier every day. Those 5 essentials are nourish, move, choose, connect, and balance. And today we're focusing on the essential of move. And we have Gina Daly here. She is a professional trainer, personal trainer, CPT, certified personal trainer.
Yeah.
And we're really exploring move from our perspective of this holistic, loving perspective, and also movement for all bodies. And when I refer to all bodies, I mean really, really thin bodies who feel like they don't have any strength at all, and really, really large bodies who feel like they don't belong in a gym and they're shamed and embarrassed wherever they go day-to-day living. And so that's our discussion. If you are joining us through Zoom, feel free to use the chat in comments or questions. If you feel so brave, feel free to raise your hand and I can unmute you and you can ask your question out loud if that is of interest. And so really, so far, Gina and I have chatted about having more of a holistic philosophy about movement and really encouraging the space that movement happens in to be a safe space and to be a space that exploration and curiosity can happen. And Gina's philosophy of really starting with what can you do, as opposed to coming in and saying, I can't do this, I can't do a push-up, I can't do a pull-up. Well, hey, what can you do? Let's start there and play. So at this point, Gina, do you have an example of maybe how, especially now since we are mostly virtual, if someone contacts you and really says, you know, hey, I'm super scared, but I'd like to have an evaluation and set up a program with you. Can you walk through what that looks like, and also what things you might be thinking in the back of your mind that you may or may not be sharing with the client that kind of goes into the background before you're like, great, here's our evaluation and here's your first program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can evaluate everyone through on Zoom, so virtually. I can watch movement assessments and get all the information that I need. Um, the important bits of information I like to get is a general idea of their movement history. So that's injuries and like past athletics or past even just relationship with movement, you know, like have they never moved in their life, but now they know that they need to. And most, like more importantly, is their why, like their deep underlying why. That's really important because I have found that the people that turn movement into a lifestyle have a deep why that is, it has to be important to you and not something that was told to be important to you.
Yeah. The most excited I got in the last 2 years was when I was able to go mountain biking with my husband and my daughter and almost keep up with them. You know, like that was like, yay, that was why I knew I needed to get stronger and get more endurance, because I live an active life, and B, with active people. And I don't want to always have to feel left out. And that's a strong why. That was my why. That's not going to be other people's whys, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because there are going to be times when you don't want to show up,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's the most important thing. Also, to creating something that's sustainable is setting the time out, and then within that bracket of time, we can go easy, we can listen to your body for that day, or we can go hard, we can like whatever you need, but you have to show up. And the showing up, that you have to go back to your why and your main purpose. Because I mean, like I always tell my clients, like you're gonna feel like working out probably like 10% of the time, but you just still have to show up, because it really, the magic is in the consistency of movement. You know, we can't go from driving, sitting in our cars, sitting at our desk, sitting on our couch, you know, 6 days a week, work out 1 hour of that day, and then have adaptations happen. That's just not how, you know, physiology works. So we have to, yeah, dig in and remember, why are you doing that? And if that why is a surface why, if it's like, you know, I saw this picture in a magazine and I think that, you know, I need to look differently, you know, we got to get under the hood and talk about that, because that's not going to last, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go back to your virtual eval.
Yeah. So we've asked
So
the
what
question.
types of
Yeah.
things do you notice when you're asking someone to look at their movement patterns through virtual? Like, what are you asking them to do?
Yeah. So, oh, I love this question. So basically, the body's amazing and it's also asymmetrical. So, by design, this is my favorite like anatomy like tidbit ever. It just lights me up. It makes my tail wag. The diaphragm is asymmetrical because it needs torque. We need torque to move, right? So our insides, we're not symmetrical. We don't have symmetrical bodies. But over time, those asymmetries, it's like water and sand, right? Like the water will go where the groove is. And so over time, that's how we create these dysfunctional movement patterns. All of a sudden, you know, your one hip starts getting a little wonky and then it goes down the chain and all of these things. And so what I'm looking for is how have those asymmetries presented themselves in your body? So I might have you do something very easy, like a squat or something like a body weight squat, even standing on one foot. I can see that. You can see where the foot, if you are tilting, supinating or pronating, which way, and up the chain, you know, you can see a lot from just standing posture, from gait. And I'm just noticing kind of where those symptoms are presenting themselves. At Root and Branch, our whole thing is going to the root cause of things. And once I take note of like what your patterns look like, we go to the pelvis, the rib cage, and the cranium to try and correct some of those asymmetries first, to like make sure that we lay down a really strong foundation before we do any types of big movement. Because if we just do the big movement first, you're bound to get injured, which is, yeah, go ahead.
I'm laughing because for weeks I was just trying to get my abdominal muscles to turn on. And like, it sounds so small. What's that phrase? It's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
You know, to like, it sounds so simple of like, okay, we're just going to like activate your abdominal muscles and get them to turn on. And, you know, it took a while, and my left side of my abdominal still doesn't want to turn on the way my right side does. And so we have to like focus on that a little more. And it's just really fascinating to me, rather than jumping into, you know, a generic workout program without first looking at that basic foundational, are your abdominals on? Can you get your butt to engage? Gluteus max, you know, all of those. Like, I think what you do with movement is really a lot of what I do with medicine, right? Getting the foundational processes working, because why go to the high level, complicated, crazy when you've skipped over the foundational supports that all of those high level things sit on?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's a neurological reprogramming. I always say the first phase is that, because that water in the groove, that essentially is a pathway in your brain. And we literally are trying to make new pathways in your brain to fire towards different muscles and talk to them rather than the ones they're used to talking to. So it's a process, and it has nothing to do with like capability or, you know, anything. It's literally just how we're designed. I mean, your brain is trying to conserve energy and keep you safe, so it'll just take the easiest pathway.
So the idea of movement for all bodies, do you care, but that's not the right thing. How much emphasis do you put on muscle mass, fat mass, body composition when designing your programs?
Zero. I mean, unless somebody is literally going to a bodybuilding competition where it matters. You know, I can't morally and ethically, in my belief system, I can't. If somebody comes to me, I do have clients that come to me for weight loss and fat loss, and I have to educate them from what I know about bodies, and they, you know, everyone has a right to look how they want to look. I absolutely understand, and I personally, I understand why they would want to feel that way and look that way. And
there
I'm
are
not
still days I look in the mirror and think, oh, I was never this padded before, or oh, whatever, you know, like for me, it was like, oh, look at my big ears sticking out. That was one of the things that always, the little voice in my head, right? We all have those, and they all come from somewhere. That doesn't mean they're true.
Exactly. And it's honoring that, and it makes sense why people feel that way.
Yeah.
And I just try to gently shift the focus and just educate them around where those voices came from. You know, it's coming from marketing to sell you things and keep you, you know, occupied with this other thing that doesn't matter. It's like there's, you know, all this systemic stuff around it.
Smoke and mirrors.
It's smoke and mirrors, yeah. And so I if they truly, if that is their goal and they want a different body composition, they want to lose fat, gain muscle, we talk about what that looks like again from a holistic perspective. So it is, I loathe the calories in, calories out thing that everyone was taught. It is not true. And like, it has literally nothing to do with the size of your body. Like, you could be eating nothing but celery, but if you're in a high fight or flight stress state for a long period of time and you're adrenally fatigued, your body is going to store that celery as adipose because it's doing its job. It's protecting you.
Yeah.
And so I don't even talk diet. I have a certificate in nutrition and I literally never use it. I don't ever prescribe macros. A lot of trainers do. They do, meal plans for people and stuff. And we talk about sleep. We talk about hydration. We talk about hormones. And we build muscle like in the gym. And that from that point, I've found your body naturally will settle at where it wants to be at when all of those things are there, and also the honesty of like, well, okay, so if you want to look a certain way, be ready to live this certain type of rigid lifestyle and you're welcome to do so. But this is actually what it takes. Like all of these fitness people on Instagram with the shredded abs, like this is what their lives look like.
Yeah.
And
I for one don't want to live paying attention to every detail, every moment of every day. To me, that's a sacrifice that I'm not willing to make. For me, movement and weight and nutrition and sleep, all of those are so interconnected that when we do what happens naturally with ease, our body's going to find its own balance.
Yeah.
So as we come to the end of our weekly webinar, people in the chat are asking where they can find you on social media.
Yay! I'm at Root and Branch Integrative Fitness. We have a Facebook and an Instagram, although I will be the first to admit that social media is not my strong suit. So it's not as robust as Dr. Wendy Lee's.
That has been a project of mine during COVID. What is your website, Gina?
My website is rootandbranchfitness.com.
And it's "and" spelled out?
Yeah.
Not a thingy?
Correct. Spelled out. rootandbranchfitness.com.
Awesome.
You can email me if you have any questions, or if you just want to do a one-to-one and get to know me more, you can email me at gina@rootandbranchfitness.com.
Perfect. Any final words that you'd like to leave people with before I close out?
Just love yourselves today.
You're doing this was super job. Fun. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah.
So this has been Tune Into Your Body weekly webinar. I'm Dr. Wendy Lee White, licensed naturopathic doctor. And this weekly webinar explores the 5 essentials for you as an individual to be healthier every day. Nourish, move, choose, connect, and balance. If there is a topic that you would like me to host a webinar on, please do message me, chat with me, message me through Instagram, Facebook, send me an email, all the ways you know how to get in touch with me, because I want to do these in service of you. So whatever you want to hear, let me know. I've yet to solidify September's topics. So if there's something that you care to listen to, then please do let me know that. Otherwise, take care, and I will see you online. Thanks, Gina.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Goodbye, all.